Well, good morning. It is November 1st of 2021. That means today is All Saints' Day. All Saints' Day is a fixed date on the church calendar. It is always November 1st as opposed to a movable day like Easter or Pentecost. It is one of the dates that is fixed by Epiphany is another one of those. January 6th. It's a fixed date. December 25th, obviously Christmas. There are some fixed dates on the calendar. This is one of them. Today is All Saints' Day. What it is meant to do is to remember those who have gone on before. Many churches in their tradition will celebrate those, especially maybe those who have passed during the last year, who have received their reward and gone on to heaven. So this is a day where, yes, it is a somber day, but it is also a day when we remember those who have lived their lives faithfully throughout the years, and they have lived their life for Christ and have obeyed his commandments. Interestingly enough, the very reason that Halloween and Reformation, actually, Halloween is connected to All Saints' Day, as is All Souls' Day, which is tomorrow, but I won't have a devotion for that tomorrow. But Reformation Day connected to this because Martin Luther would have nailed the thesis to the door, but precisely because people were coming to church the next day for All Saints' Day. So the Reformation is connected to that as well. But today is a day when we remember those who have gone on, who have lived their life faithfully. A saint, we often talk about saints and we think of, saints are old people. Saints are dead people. If we look at the definition of a saint in the Catholic Church, they're people who have done something extraordinary. But as we look at the Word of God, as we look at the different addresses that Paul makes in the different letters of the church, he often calls the church the saints. And the saints are all those living and dead who are living their life according to love the Lord their God with all of their heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love their neighbor as themselves. Just as we looked at yesterday's, on Friday, I looked at that passage. That's what a saint is. One who loves the Lord their God with all of their heart, mind, soul, and strength, and loves their neighbor as themselves. So with all that in mind, today we are in the gospel reading. The gospel reading comes out of the book of John. It is a familiar, if you have been in the church, it is a familiar passage. It's about Lazarus, and we'll take a look at that. We're going to be in Luke chapter 11, starting with verse. Let me just double check this. Starting with verse 32. And going to the verse 43. When Mary arrived and saw Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, a deep anger welled up within him, and he was deeply troubled. "Where have you put him?" he asked them. They told him, "Lord, and come and see." And then Jesus wept. Lazarus was a dear friend of Jesus. He was angry that people were putting on such a commotion about those who have gone to their eternal reward. We understand that Lazarus was a righteous man. He was a good friend of Jesus. And even at this point, even before Jesus' death and resurrection, the Jewish people had some sense of an afterlife, that those who lived their lives according to God's commands went to paradise. Those who did not follow went to Sheol. So there was definitely a sense of a Jewish afterlife. So there were these professional mourners, and they were making a commotion. Jesus like, what in the world is going on? And when they absolutely showed him where we know that Jesus loved Lazarus very much, and so that's what's going on here. The people who were standing nearby said, "See how much he loved him." But some said, "This man," the scoffers, they're in every crowd. The scoffer said, "This man healed a blind man, but he couldn't have kept Lazarus from dying. His best friend, he couldn't kept him from dying. What kind of prophet, what kind of miracle worker is this?" The skeptics, the scoffers. Jesus was still angry. I'm thinking he's angry at the scoffers, these skeptics who are just these professional mourners who are just making a big ruckus about all. When he arrived at the tomb, Jesus was still angry when he arrived at the tomb. A cave with a stone rolled across the entrance. Roll the stone aside. What? Roll the stone aside, Jesus said. What? But Martha, the dead man's sister, proclaimed, "Lord, he's been dead for 3 days. He's been dead for 4 days. The smell, it's going to be awful." The King James says, "Surely, Lord, he stinketh." Yeah, if you've ever been around dead stuff, it stinks, it smells. And now Jesus was asking them to roll away the stone. Why? I've seen it done at a funeral several years back. After we had done the committal, even the wife, the spouse of the deceased, wanted to open the casket one more time before they put it in the ground. Maybe some people thought, well, he wants to see Lazarus. But Jesus had something more in mind. Jesus responded, "Didn't I tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe?" So they rolled the stone aside. Then Jesus looked up at heaven and said, "Father, thank you for hearing me. You always hear me, but I say it out loud. I say it louder for those in the back, for the sake of all these people standing here, so that they will believe." And that's one of the great themes of John, is so that they will believe that you sent me. And then Jesus shouted, "Lazarus," if he would have not shouted Lazarus, all of the dead who had already died would have come forth. He shouts out, "Lazarus," very specific, "come forth." And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. And Jesus told them, "Unwrap him and let him go." It is before it picked up early in the story, that Jesus says that I am the resurrection and the life. Everyone who believes in me will live even after dying. Everyone who believes in me and everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never, ever die. Lazarus received a temporary extension to his life. And then I believe that he is worshiping with the saints around the throne. And that's something that's coming to all of us who believe in Jesus Christ, that he died and was buried and was resurrected on the third day. And just as he resurrected Lazarus, we too, when we die or when Jesus comes back, will be resurrected into spiritual bodies, and we will live with him forever. And there are already those, the great cloud of witnesses who are around the throne. they are worshiping him and reigning with him forever. So I encourage you to live your life in such a manner that you could be considered to run the race, as it says in Hebrews, throwing off every weight that entangles, so that you too will be counted among the saints. But I also encourage you to live as a saint here on the earth, even now. The world needs people who are living lives fully sold out to God. And so I thank you for joining this morning, and have a blessed All Saints Day. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord, and go show the world what it means to be a true saint of God. God bless.